and that led to some really good additions. Tremaine Edmonds, I can't wait for you guys to see this guy. He's special, he's big, he's long, he fits our scheme. TJ Edwards, awesome story, really good player, instinctive. Again, is going to help our defense get better. And how cool is it for a guy like that to come back to his hometown team and play? He is so fired up. He is so fired up to be on this squad, and he wanted to be here, which is really cool.
Mark, we haven't talked to you since the trade. Just curious, the push for DJ, what you saw in him as a player that made that such a high priority for you.
Yeah, just a receiver that can create separation and make big plays. Good teams have guys that make big plays in big moments. That's finishing a game off in the fourth quarter, or if that's getting things kicked off in the beginning. DJ.
What about some of the new guys? Let's start with C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and then we can touch on Cam Sutton and Emmanuel Mosley as well.
You know, C.J. brings a level of competitiveness that will serve us well on the back end. He just, man, when we talk about, you know, they hear me say it, football player. He is a football player.
Yeah.
Dude, now. The foundation is here, and then you bring in guys that are like-minded and about winning and can play some ball.
It's draft day. Episode 66. It's kind of draft day. It's not our normal draft day. It's NFL draft week. Welcome to draft week. The week where if you are a Lions or a Bears fan, normally our hopes and dreams either go to die or we get excited for nothing. Recently, the Lions have had some success. Bears maybe not so much. But the Bears are going in the right direction. I guess you can count Fields as success.
Yeah, a big success. They finally, 100%. That was a legitimate, the best draft pick they've ever had, literally,
for sure.
For now,
so we got a bunch to get into. We're gonna talk about how we got here. Speaking of the Bears, they're in a great spot now, trading back to 9, and just the clamoring that everybody's done to, and will continue to do, it sounds like, to get to the top of this draft. We'll go through some rumors. We'll go down some kind of our ideal picks for the first round. We'll do a worst case for the first round, which could easily happen. We've watched it happen a million times in our 30 years of living.
I'll say at least 25.
Yeah. Backup. We'll go over a backup plan even for the first round. Maybe some trade possibilities. Maybe some guys that we like in the second round. And, yeah, we'll go from there. Well, let's start with this. How we got here today. So I'll go over the Lions quick because I think the Bears is a little bit more interesting as to how they got to their spot, just because of the trade. But the Lions obviously finished the season 9-8. They went 8-2 in their last 10. They have the 6th and the 18th overall pick in the NFL draft. The 6th is from the Rams trade, thanks to Matthew Stafford. And then 18 is just our pick. The needs for the Lions, D-line, linebacker, even after the acquisition, still corner. You know, the key acquisitions this offseason, you heard them in the intro, basically Cam Sutton, Emmanuel Mosley, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, David Montgomery, shout out the Bears, Glasgow, Marvin Jones. Biggest losses, probably 2 of them are Jamal Williams, DJ Shark, guys that we replaced, I'd say, pretty well. So that's kind of how the Lions got to the spot that they're in today, picking 6th thanks to the Rams. And then we have our 18th pick in round 1 as well, which who knows if we hang on to those picks. We'll talk a little bit about that later on too. But how did the Bears get here, which I think is a little bit more exciting, moving from 1 to 9?
Well, let's start first by, let me do a little bit of math real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's just start by saying what a great job by Matt Eberflus and Justin Fields by going 3-14 and losing 8 games decided by 1 score or less. Because you win one of those. One of them against the Lions, 31-30. That was a crazy-ass game. We were up a lot and blew a big lead. But just got to give a big shout out to the boys for never giving up and knowing that that first overall pick was there to be had and for them to go out and get it like real champions. Okay.
That's
um,
true.
I mean, dude,
You gotta sacrifice the lamb sometimes and
bro,
go get that pick.
they were 2-1 to start the year. And they played a lot of good games. They played, I would say, out of 17, I'd say 10 of the games, I was like, okay, this team
Mhm.
isn't that bad, what they got going on. So shout out to the boys for getting that pick. Yeah. And now and also we went 0-8 in one score games, I'm pretty sure. So like
Which
the
I
three
think that
wins.
if you're going to end up with the first round pick, obviously you're going to be losing a lot of games.
Mhm,
If you can have 8 of them be one score to give the fan base some hope, give the fan base
exactly.
something to hang on to,
That's what I'm saying. It's, when
that's the
you
best possible scenario for a number 1 pick, right?
yeah, especially when Houston goes out and wins the last game, and Lovey and fucking who was the quarterback for them? I don't know. He's fighting.
Long neck,
Yeah,
Davis Mills.
yeah. Davis Mills and Lovey Smith were like, yeah, we want jobs next year. Probably not with the
Yep.
Texans, but somewhere we're gonna
Yep.
go out and win this game.
That was the
Um,
Indy game, right?
yeah, they
Yeah, it was
love to
ridiculous.
lose in the last week when it's important.
They do.
But anyways, so now we're sitting at 9. We had the 1, traded it back for DJ Moore and a little bit of draft capital. We got their 9th, and then the second round pick, which is the 61st pick, because I think it's Carolina. It was Carolina's pick through like Philly or some shit. That's why it's so late
Mm-hmm.
in the second round. But it was from Carolina. I think they got it from Philly, which kind of sucks. I didn't realize that until today. But anyways, other than DJ Moore, we picked up Donta Foreman and Travis Homer, which getting rid of David Montgomery, we have them two who aren't great, but you saw Foreman and Homer have both successfully played in the NFL and know the game and can do it. So you're like, okay. I still do think that we should look for a back in the draft. We'll talk about that in a minute. We got Bob Tunyon. We got that Nate Davis kid who was Tennessee, the guard from Tennessee for the last 4 years. And then obviously the two big ones, Tremont Edmonds and TJ Edwards from Buffalo and fucking Philly, the two linebackers who, to me, I mean, couldn't have done like those are the two most fitting players that we could have gotten. In the circumstances.
Those are 2 guys where if any team were to get one of those guys, you're fucking over the
Yeah,
moon.
exactly.
For the Bears to go out and get both of those guys, especially for a franchise that is used to having a good defense, to just turnkey, get those 2 guys, plug them in. You have 2 great linebackers and a great middle of your defense.
Exactly. And I don't know, I'm not super well versed on this draft class linebacker wise because as a Bears fan, I'm not, you're not really worried about it anymore. You're kind of like, okay. But I feel like with all of what we need, it was nice to get those guys because now we can focus on the 2 things that I think we really need. First round, at least O-line, D-line, one or the other.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And you're like, okay, you're gonna go O-line, O-line or D-line, and then you can open up into your DBs and your running backs, possibly receivers, second, third, fourth round. I mean, we have 10 picks in the draft, so yeah, I mean that's where we're at now. And yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I did some math here. I mean, we have between the the second and fourth round, we have fucking 3 picks and 3 selections and 11 picks. We have 53, 61, 64.
Yeah, it's
So
pretty sick.
second round, we pretty much are gonna get 2. Like you would assume they're gonna get 2 of the 3 that they really want. So I mean,
Right.
if they can time it up right and not get fucked, and then even later on in the back end, we have like, no, I guess no, those are pretty far apart. But yeah, but those 3, I mean, that's real nice. And yeah, I'm excited. Yeah. I don't even
So
know
what
what
do
we're
you
talking about
think?
anymore.
We don't have to bury the lead any longer. We'll go into our ideal first round, and then we'll go worst case and then backup plan. We'll get into some rumors after that. Ideal first round. And the Lions, have been mocked about fucking 12 ways a Sunday. I mean, literally anybody that you could have mocked there, they've been mocked. Like it's from quarterback to Skronsky somehow. Like we've seen it all. Guys that we don't need. We've placed it everywhere. But if I were to say, okay, that was the best possible outcome for the Lions in the first round, it would be chaos in the top 5, meaning teams drafting, especially drafting with the Cardinals to get into that 3 spot to take a quarterback. You talk about teams like the Tennessee Titans or the Oakland Raiders, teams that are looking to move up with draft capital looking for a quarterback. That would be awesome, because then a guy like Will Anderson, who would be ideal at 6, he'd be ideal for anybody at 1, let alone 6. The guy could have went first overall last year. If he drops to us at 6, that's nothing else matters after that, right?
Yep.
And if we were to do that, get Will Anderson at 6, and then at 18, I've been going back and forth on who I like the most with this pick. And from day one of, I feel like, setting up the draft process, in everybody in the Lions camp's mind, it seems like it's been, let's go defense. Let's try to go defense at least. So if I'm at 18 and this guy's there, I'm going Kalijah Cansey. He's the interior D lineman from Pittsburgh that ran a 4.57, or either a 4.57 or a 4.62 in the 40, which is insane for an interior D lineman. The guy's quick. He rushes the passer, and you just, if you can find a guy like that in the NFL, you're getting an Aaron Donald type of guy, somebody that can come up the middle and really make a difference, not with just the run game, but with the quarterback too. You're changing your team. Will Anderson and Kalijah Cansey change the defense immediately. Day one, they walk in the building. That would be my ideal first round for the Lions.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice when you have 2.
It is nice.
And I do feel like that 18 pick, I mean, the 6 pick is still very, very wide open. I've been hearing a lot, though, that the Texans might not even pull trig on quarterback now.
Mm-hmm.
And then that kind of fucks everything up for everybody, because that means you would assume Will Anderson goes too then. And if that happens, then it's like everybody's draft board goes back one,
Yep, you're right.
So it's, other than the people that need their quarterback, because then someone's licking their chops for either Levis or Stroud or whatever, because they're saying Bryce Young is pretty much locked in, right? Or no, Stroud is locked in at Carolina, right?
No, Bryce Young is locked in at 1 to Carolina.
Pretty much.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So they're saying Bryce Young pretty much locked in. You got 4 teams licking their chops for a quarterback right there. And
if you checked FanDuel this morning, FanDuel has the number 2 pick, the favorite at -125, Will Levis right now.
I don't. To me, that says that they're trading out. To me. Mm-hmm. Right? I don't know, though. I could be wrong. I could be very wrong on that. I don't know. I just feel like, how?
I don't know either. Obviously they need a guy, but are they in the frame of mind where they're thinking, okay, we're not going to be better next year. We're just not. Yeah. And maybe they like Caleb Williams or Drake May more. They think that they're going to stink. They get a top 3 pick next year. They get a guy they actually like, rather than forcing themselves to pick out of CJ Stroud, who I think is better than Will Levis. I mean, I don't think that's a crazy thing to say, but apparently some NFL teams are not thinking that way, because where Vegas shows smoke, sometimes, most of the time, there's fire. When they got Will Levis trending at -125 to go 2 to the Texans, it makes you think a little bit more than some GM throwing some smoke in an interview, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm very confused on that. But let's hope and pray that Will Anderson doesn't go 2, and he goes probably, you'd imagine, 3 to Arizona. I mean, for you, because obviously my dream world is also Will Anderson, but at 9, there's a damn near 0% chance that happens.
So what's the Bears' ideal first round?
Mikey's ideal first round is probably Tyree Wilson. I don't know if he falls there though, but that's my ideal first round. Like dream world, I don't think he gets there. A more realistic thing. I do like I still like Jalen Carter. I do
Mhm.
think he will be available at that point. I really do. I think he gets to 9, just with the way everything is gone and shit. And if he's not there, I like that kid from Ohio State, Paris Johnson Jr. I
Yeah.
think that is the guy. If not, um,
No Skoronsky?
yes, Skronsky. I think
Okay.
so. If we get there's 4 players that I'm okay, I'll be very happy. I won't be upset. Is Tyree Wilson,
Mhm.
Jalen Carter,
Mhm.
Skronsky, Paris Johnson. If we can get one of those 4 guys, which there's only fucking 8 guys getting picked before us, and you would assume 3 of them are quarterbacks at least, maybe 4. I think we can get one of those 4, and that would be very, very ideal. They if they don't go, so I'm just gonna jump right into worst case scenario. If they
Yep.
don't go O line or D line, worst case scenario. If they go cornerback, unless they trade out. If they trade out, different story. I don't really know what the rumors are if they are gonna trade, but you never know right now. But if they go anything but fucking O line, D line, it's a miss for me.
So you're saying if they take a Devin Witherspoon or a Christian Gonzalez, what about maybe like a Nolan Smith, the edge out of Georgia? All those miss, 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 miss. We kind of fucked up. We're not looking at the bigger picture.
I, so no, I don't know, man. I think it would be stupid. No, I'm okay with anybody. I'm okay with an edge also. It's got to be
So
someone
that's
that,
D line.
yeah, I need O line, D line. Doesn't matter. Edge, there's a lot of parity too with the D linemen in this draft. There's a lot, whether they're nose
Definitely.
tackles, just a tackle, whatever, depending on the system, obviously. There's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So anything in that of that nature, I'm okay with. Um, but I just think if you don't, you need so having 3 picks and 11 picks, the 3 selections and 11 picks, you just have so many options towards the end of that second round that like you can take a risk then because you're assuming that you're gonna get one of your other guys. You know what I mean? Whether it's fucking the one of the centers like that Luke Weiler or Whitewater kid or whatever, or like the other kid from OSU, the lineman, like something
Yep.
like that down
DeJuan
there.
Jones.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I couldn't think of his name. Something like that. Then you can go do something stupid.
Yeah.
Um, but I think you have to. I don't know. That's just me. So that's where my ideal first round is. And I think it would be foolish if not.
I like it too. I think Lions case, if I'm going, I mean, you said it earlier, but a lot of this not only depends on the quarterbacks and who's moving up for them, but a lot of it depends on Jalen Carter and where he goes in this draft. That
Yeah.
could fuck everything up. If he goes, if he didn't even take meetings with anybody outside of the top 10.
That's what I'm saying.
So I think him dropping to 9 to the Bears is a very real possibility, depending on, the moving and shaking that goes on ahead of him. So my worst case, and you're not going to hear me say Jalen Carter's name only because every sign and everything that I've been hearing from like Lions beat writers, you name it, Jalen Carter, it sounds like, is kind of off the Lions draft board. Maybe that's smoke, and that's Brad Holmes playing the game, and he was always the guy. But it kind of seems like, for whatever reason, their meeting didn't go well with him, and Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell both used the word interesting when listening to his former teammates talk about him, coaches and teammates and things like that. So just depends on what way you take interesting. I didn't take it the right way. I thought if they had something good to say about him, I think that they might have said it. So Jalen Carter, not on my draft board as of right now. Worst case scenario would, for me, even though I love this guy and I think he's going to be a badass corner in the NFL, is Devin Witherspoon at 6. And the only reason that I say it's worst case is because we just got burned taking a corner in the top 10.
Yeah.
Just got burned. Just released Jeff Okuda. Like, that wound is still fresh. Is there a Sauce Gardner in this draft? I don't think so. I don't.
Yeah.
So for us to take a guy like Devin Witherspoon at 6 where we are, really, really taking a big risk when, if Tyree Wilson or somebody like that was available, even Jalen Carter, like I can't stomach that and say, okay, we're going to be a better football team next year. And then at 18, it'd be taking Devin Witherspoon at 6 and then Bijan at 18. If we fucking take Bijan at 18, dude, I am so over all this talk about running backs and everything like that. I don't think a first round running back would ever be worth it to me unless it was like he'd have to be able to throw it too. That's the only way that I'm taking a running back in the first round.
He'd have to be Christian McCaffrey.
Yep.
Like legit.
Yep.
Can do everything. Like literally.
Immediately the best player, the best running back in the league. Like that's kind of how it's got to go. Like a Saquon. I mean, even Saquon.
Yeah. I'm talking, we're talking a guy that
not worth it.
Can catch it, can run, can block, and fucking, is a locker room guy. Like he has to be all 4 of those things plus fucking not a shithead. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like I agree with you.
And he's only going to be that guy for 5 years because guess what? You're not re-signing him because if you resign him and you pay a running back $1 zillion, you're going to be at the fucking bottom of the league. Like that's just not how it works right now. You go and you get a guy that you could plug in, Isaiah Pacheco.
Yeah.
Mic drop. You don't need somebody elite back there to win a Super Bowl. You just don't. So spending capital in places like the first round where it is so important to get somebody good and hit on your picks. I don't want to spend a running back that we could get a DeAndre Swift in the second round. We could get insert name here. Like it doesn't, we can get that guy.
You go, or you do. Oh, hey, I got David Montgomery for what you got? What are you paying him right now? $6 million?
Something like that. It is very low.
Very mid-level contract for a running back who is probably, to me, in my eyes, is a top probably 12 back in the league when healthy. I mean, he's good, dude. He's no joke. So it's like, yeah, fuck that. I agree with you, but I haven't looked too much into it, but I have seen a lot of people talking Bijan to the Lions.
A lot of people mocked Bijan to the Lions. It was sexy for some reason, even after the David Montgomery trade, and I never really understood it. And there's a lot of guys that I like in the second round. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs, people are talking like he's not going to make it out of the second round at this point, but if he did, and we could scoop him with that first pick in the second round, I'd be psyched. Fuck yeah, I'd be psyched.
That was a guy that because we have later picks in the second round. That was a guy that in my head was like, if he's there, that's where you get a little silly. Like you don't necessarily need that, but that guy, if he's there at 53, you jump all over it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you don't take that risk in the first round. You just kind of hope and pray type of thing.
Exactly. And if he's there, he's there. Like that, it was meant to be. Lastly, if I'm gonna go backup plan for the Lions, if it's not the ideal, obviously Will Anderson, Kalijah Cansey. Backup plan, Tyree Wilson at 6. Then either at 18, I wouldn't hate a corner at 18 if we go Joey Porter Jr. Huge corner out of Penn State. He's not a guy that's going to go and pick the ball off. He only had 1 interception last year, but he's a Dan Campbell guy. Like he's pissed off. He's Joey Porter's son. First of all, like he's a football player.
Don't they say that? Like where are the Steelers picking at? They're picking like right before that, right?
They're picking 17.
Aren't they
right
saying
before
that?
Us.
Aren't they saying that like that is where Joey Porter Jr. is probably gonna go?
Yeah, it's funny.
Or weren't they at least at one point? I'm sorry.
It's weird because Joey Porter, all these corners, the corner market is very interesting because there's no elite guys, but there are like 5 good guys that might all go in the first round. Especially guys like Deonte Banks, who I would also love at 18. He's a corner from Maryland. Literally he just sits in your pocket. Doesn't matter where you're going. Like every highlight you see of him, he's literally holding on to the guy's hip. He's just there all the time.
Yep.
Speedy as fuck.
That's in my my wish list for round 2 too. I know he's not going to drop, but yeah, definitely.
If he did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and Joey Porter, like guys like that. Joey Porter I've seen as high as like 11. I've seen him as low as 31.
I feel like corners and receivers are both 2 positions that, like you just said, they can either get taken high as fuck, or they can drop
Mhm.
a round and a half, and you're like, what the fuck? And especially when there's a lot
The
of depth in
receivers
it.
are the same way in this
Yeah,
draft. You're absolutely right. Like Zay Flowers, I've seen him mocked like top 10, and
yeah.
I've seen him mocked in the second round.
That's what I'm
Like
saying.
he's
It's
all
like,
over the
what the
place.
100%. I've seen the same shit, and it's like I feel like the outside guys, they just I don't know, like they're just weird. But
No, you don't know. Yeah, you're right. Whenever the run starts, whenever the run on corners or the run on receivers
yep,
start, get yours while the getting's good.
yep.
Or
Yeah,
you're
dude,
not gonna get your guy.
it's just like fantasy football. Once one guy takes a kicker or defense, every other team is like, "Oh, I got to get my kicker or defense." It's just the
Exactly.
way it is, dude.
It triggers something in your brain where you don't want to be the last guy at the table.
Yeah. But
Which is
also
funny.
though, when you don't need that position, that's like right like for how the Bears were. It's like there's 5 fucking teams in the top 10 that need a quarterback, and we have the fucking, the piece of gold that you're like, oh fuck, like that's like the best when you don't need what everyone else needs in the top or in that situation, and you can kind of
Yep.
just maneuver around with it, which yeah, I don't know. I don't hate what you're talking about for lines. You said a couple of names that I would love to have on the Bears. With the cornerbacks at least, because I think that one of those mid picks for the Bears, between 2 and 3, I can see them going cornerback.
For sure.
Depending, I think a guy like that Eli Ricks from Alabama.
Yep.
That's a
People love
guy
that
who
kid.
I think that's a guy too who realistically be available too. Um, they said I looked up a little bit of stat. They said that he held like opposing quarterbacks to like a 42 QBR, which is like, hey man, that's not bad.
No, that's crazy.
There's a kid
Keely
from
Ringo's a
yeah.
guy that's got to be back there too, right?
So there's three of the Eli Ricks, the Keely Ringo, and then Emmanuel Forbes from Mississippi State.
Yeah,
So
he's an
those are a couple
interesting one.
names. Yeah, that where it's like, that so between the second and third round, between the 53rd and 103rd pick, we have 4 picks. If we can get one of those guys in that range, those are some names I like. I would love if fucking like a Joey Porter or who was the other kid that we were just talking about? Oh, from Maryland, the Banks.
Deontay Banks.
If like one of those two fell, that'd be fucking sexy. But yeah. So back to my backup plan. My backup plan is genuinely Skronsky or the Broderick Jones from Georgia.
Yeah.
Those are. I mean, I don't think that we're gonna get Tyree Wilson just in reality. So I think Jalen Carter or Paris Johnson are our guys, but I wouldn't hate, backup plan either Broderick Jones or Skronsky if that's if that's what they went with, I wouldn't be upset with.
Right. No, and I think that's a great plan for them.
Yeah, and then my ideal, like I said, the second round between the second and third, it's like I want them to go either the opposite. So if they go O-line, I want them to get 1 D lineman in those 3 picks. I want them to try and get a cornerback, and then I don't hate them going after a flyer like a Zach Charbonnet. Or like if you got a guy like who the fuck's the number 2 guy at Tennessee, the receiver, that Cedric Tillman, a guy like that. Because we don't have, I mean, we have Chase Claypool, but we don't have a big tall receiver. We have 2 good tight ends, but we don't have any like big receivers right now. So someone like that, or anyone else who's a little bit bigger in the receiver class, if it's not reaching for it, I wouldn't hate that. So that's kind of my ideal, like, because we have a lot in the second, third, fourth. So
I don't know where that I'm sure you've heard this name too. That Tank Dell kid from Houston.
he's
a wide receiver. Yeah, he's really nasty too. I've
Nathaniel
actually
Dell?
watched his. Yeah, I've actually watched his tape a few times. I actually watched it today too, and he's just in a draft where there aren't very many like bigger receivers. I mean, him and then Ringo. I don't know if you've seen this guy's film from Ole Miss. He's 6'2". He's a big motherfucker. It's basically hit those 2 and then Quentin Johnston. Like those are really the big guys.
Dude.
Outside of that, JSN, Jalen Hyatt, all these other guys, Zay Flowers, they're all tiny guys. They're DJ Moore type guys. Like you said,
Jordan
don't
Addison.
need that.
Yeah. And you know who a guy who I like back toward a little bit further down is this Rashee Rice, kid from SMU. I watched like
Mm.
3 games, and this is just a like a feeling pick because I watched some of his games because I'm a degenerate gambler,
Right.
and I like the way like he reminds me of like a fucking like legit like an AJ Brown. Like uses his body, but also is kind of finesse. I see him fumble like 2 times, which in 2 games that's not very good. But I really like the way he played. Like this is I'm talking like picks like 65, 103, 133, like those picks.
Yeah, where you could
Um
take a risk on a guy with
yeah,
butterfingers, you know?
exactly. Um one other receiver too that I really like is the kid from LSU, that Booty.
Yep.
But
Guy that's really fallen down draft boards
yeah.
compared to where people thought he was going to go when he got to LSU.
Yeah, and also, I mean, even just coming into this year with the injuries and like not really being on
Yep.
the field enough, and like then when he was there, they weren't using him properly. I think he's one of those like untapped, like not untapped potentials, but like he's got it. It just didn't show on the field that much. You know what I mean? Like one of those guys where it's like he is a dog, but he didn't necessarily have the proper situation in LSU with the injuries and the quarterback and that this and that. You know.
Yeah.
But dude, honestly, we have so many picks that it's like I don't care. I don't care. There's so many guys on this list that I have that I'm just like, dude, we can go with the center, we can go with the edge, we can go with the tackle, we can go with the fucking cornerback. Just I don't know. I'm just don't reach on fucking on somebody dumb. Just take the best available. 'Cause the Bears
Don't
need it.
do a Bears thing.
Exactly. We've done it so fucking much, dude. Like it's like don't just take what's there, take what the rest of the league gives you because we have so much capital and everyone needs certain things like because we need a little bit of everything. So it's like you don't
Yep.
have to take 2 of the same position or something like that. Like we can literally take anything and it could be a good pick as long as they don't take the guy who's average, the ranking he's 100, but we're at the 65th pick. It's like, hey, so
Take what comes to you. I think that's a
I-
lot of what the draft is, and like smartest guy in the room syndrome. I talk about it
Yeah.
all the time with the Lions. They used to have that really bad before Brad Holmes got here, and it was like sometimes the easy pick is the right pick.
Yep.
Most of the time. Let's talk about some rumors. So I got
What's the
2
word?
rumors for you. Let's start with this Lions one because I feel like it definitely has an actual possibility of happening. The Lions moving up to 3. And the reason that this would happen is infatuation with Will Anderson. Like we have to have Will Anderson or bust. That's what has to be going through Brad Holmes' head to make a trade like this. I depending on what we give up, I would be all in on it. But I did a little bit of research and found the most recent transaction for a trade like this. It was actually in 2018, and it was a move from 6 to 3. So this would be the exact move that the Lions would take. They'd trade 6 to move up to 3 for Arizona. In 2018, the Jets traded from 6 to 3 to go get Sam Darnold. And they gave up pick 6, 37 in the second round, 49 in the second round, and then a 2019 second round. So 1, 2, 3, 4 picks, which, I mean, it's a lot of second round guys. It's a lot of second round picks. I wouldn't want to give up both of our second round picks. Obviously, that would mean we'd still be able to keep 18 if we were to do something like that. But if Brad Holmes thinks it's Will Anderson or bust, I'm all aboard. Like if that's your guy, you've been right about everybody else so far. I'm fucking all aboard. Let's do it. Let's go get him.
Where do you draw the line? Would you be willing? Would you still be on board if they said just 6 and 18 for 3, and maybe like a third round next year or something like that? Like they give
Yes,
you a
I think
third
I
round.
would still do it just because we still have the 2 second round picks. If we get Will Anderson in the first round, that's a win in the first round. Let's move on. If where I draw the line is if they say, all right, we want 6, we want both your second rounders, and then next year we want your first rounder. Fuck that. Like if they're taking our first rounder in next year or any other year like that, or if they're like, hey, we want 6, 18 and both of your second rounders, or a second rounder and a first next year, like
So
That
pretty much,
first next year fucks me up too much.
anything that has 2 firsts and a second, or possibly 2 firsts and 2 seconds, you're not in. But 1 first and
Yeah.
2 seconds, or just 2 firsts, you're okay with.
I could swallow that.
So what if they went 6 this year, and whatever your first round pick next year, you're okay with that? And then you still have
6
18
this year and then the first next year.
Mm-hmm. And you'll probably have to toss in like a second somewhere, I would imagine.
Right.
If you're giving up the next year's pick, but maybe it's your second round pick this year, your first round pick, and then 6. You'd give that up.
I'm hoping and praying that our pick next year in the first round isn't very good.
Is over 15, yeah, at least over 15.
Yeah. I would hope it'd be in, worst case Ontario, the low 20s, right? That would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I don't know if I could do that. That just next year's first round is just, that's really selling out for one guy. I mean, like I said, it's hard because it's a fine line between me thinking that's a lot and me also trusting Brad Holmes.
Okay. All right. Here's scenario 2 for this. Not necessarily scenario 2, but when do the Lions decide it's time to get a quarterback? Do they ever draft, or do they buy? What are they doing with quarterback? I know Goff is the guy, but I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
is he? That's the only noise. I don't know what to say. Like, is he permanent? Is he the guy? Like,
I think the team is built in a way right now where we're built to win in a window, right? We talked about it a couple weeks ago. This isn't a dynasty. I mean, I don't think it is. I'm not even going to say that word and connect it to us. So, I mean, I think that they have, probably a 4 to 5 year window here that we're playing with where we could actually go out and try to do something. So if, say, Jared Goff at the end of this year, we just can't get anything done and we're going to have to move on anywhere during this rebuild or during this, run that we're going to have. I'm too used to saying rebuild. Anywhere during this hopefully successful playoff run that we have, I think that they're in a position where they're going to have to go out and buy somebody. And
okay.
as a Lions fan, like, I feel a lot more comfortable with that than, say, trading up next year and going and trying to get like Caleb Williams or something like that. We just have to give up so much capital to do that, where I think that we could go and with the team that we have, sell a good quarterback into coming here. Not like an Indy situation where we're going to get Matt Ryan or Phillip Rivers before they fucking die. I'm saying, like, go get a guy that has a situation, not quite like Lamar, but a guy that's coming off of his first contract where you can say, hey, we'll give you the money that you deserve. We want you to come be here. We just want you to be here. And the guy has to want to be here. So that's the biggest thing. And if we're winning, then I think that we can go out and buy rather than giving up everything to draft.
I was going to say, does a guy like Lamar tickle the old fancy? Because I feel like, though, there's not many guys out there that are better than Goff that are going to be in the situation that you just said, other than Lamar Jackson. I really, even over the next 2 years, I mean, unless Goff has another one of his fucking meltdowns and he just stinks for a year, and then you're like, oh, this is the Goff we thought he was 3 years ago. But
right, which could happen.
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
Definitely could happen.
I do think that the system is good enough, though, where Goff is a efficient enough player that, like, he's a lot safer than he kind of looks. He's a pretty safe quarterback, but he's got such a good line and pretty good, a good system around where he looks like he's being aggressive as fuck. But it's all made for him to do so,
I think, as long as that O-line's there, like, Jared will be fine.
Yeah, I agree. I do think he's a fairly smart guy. I think, he got written off too early. I've been saying this since fucking last year. I mean, you can.
Yeah, you were saying it since the jump.
Yeah.
Run the tape.
But does a guy does a guy like Lamar Jackson, like I said, tickle your fancy? I mean, would you be willing to pay him all that money to have him be the guy, and then maybe you can consider it a dynasty,
right?
If he's healthy, does he fit the bill?
If he could show me that he's actually still got it, sure. But after what he's shown the last 2 years, if he comes out and lays another egg where he's like, he's throwing 30 touchdowns, but then he's got 17 picks, I'm going to tell the guy to fucking kick rocks. Like,
Yeah. Keep my Jared Goff for 20 mil or whatever the fuck you're paying him.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
Exactly.
All right. So
let's go
what's the
Bears
second
trade rumor.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, what's the next one?
How would you feel, and I saw this circulating a little bit today, if the Bears traded back to 17 with the Steelers, who desperately are looking to get a offensive tackle of some sort? So the Steelers trade up to get a Skoronski, one of the guys that you guys probably wanted, like a Skoronski or a who the fuck's the
Paris
other guy that we were just talking
Johnson
about? Or Paris Johnson Jr.
Roderick Jones.
And then the Bears fall back to 17. You probably get, I would assume you get a second rounder maybe or a third out of this deal to move from 9 to 17. And if that's the case, then holy shit, the Bears literally own the second round.
See, I don't hate it, but my thing is like, once again, like this comes back to like the, smartest man in the room thing. Like, what does Michael Scott say? Keep it simple, stupid. Like you have 10 picks, okay? And we have fucking, it's 4 picks in the top 3, 2 fourths, 2 fifths, 2 sevenths. So it's like get a perennial player, get a guy who it's like you can do that at 17, you really could, but it's like if the draft goes the way everyone's expecting it, we're getting the number 1, possibly the number 2 offensive lineman in the draft.
Right.
Why not? To me, what's out there that's going to be more secure than that? I don't
Literally
know.
nothing. I mean, when you're going and looking at a draft board and you need an offensive tackle or an offensive guard, generally those hit at the highest clip.
That's what I'm saying. It's like how often does the number 1 O lineman bust? Not often, I feel like.
Not very often.
You know what I mean? Like these guys are built different. They are just good. So it's like I don't hate it because you're gonna get an extra guy in the second, but probably you would assume so. But like to me, it's we have, I'm pretty sure, we already have some extra picks for next year. They're not like good picks, but I think we have some mid-round picks already from some of the shit we've did over this offseason and the trades we made, like where it's like we have 10 picks. Go do with that. If you want to trade one of these seconds or thirds and kind of, try to zhush some things up, get an extra pick here and there, I just wouldn't take top 10 talent off. Actually, probably if you really think about it, like top 5 talent off the board, because with all the quarterbacks that are going to go, it really, dilutes it a little bit. So now your top 10 guys are, half of them are really top 5 guys, but because of the quarterback situations, they're dropping a little bit. I don't like it. I would keep 9 just because I think it's that much more valuable. But maybe Poles is like, hey, we're not there yet, so whatever, let's get as many as we can. But also, we got to keep this guy healthy. We got to keep this dude on his feet. You know what I mean? Like he can't be running every fucking play. He's got to be able to sit in his fucking pocket, go through his progression, make throws that everyone saw him make at OSU.
Oh yeah.
Actually be able to throw the ball down the field and not make his first read always be a fucking flat pass. But hey, when you don't got time,
can do it.
You know what I'm saying? It's like he could do it. It's just the way that it's set up for him is just it's not working in that matter. Like, yeah, he can run for 1,000 yards, but I don't want my quarterback running for 1,000 yards and running 15 to 20 times a game. Like, I want my guy running 10 times a game, like Jalen Hurts. When it matters,
right,
and when you need a fucking touchdown, he's getting the ball. That's it. Like, I don't need him running 65-yard fucking plays. It's like, I know it's dope and it's very exciting. You're like, oh, this guy's an electric factory, breaking records, yada, yada. I don't want him doing that because he's a capable thrower,
Yeah. If it's not a first down or 6 points, you don't want your quarterback moving.
Yeah, exactly.
Period.
So,
the tough part is like in this mock that I'm looking at, the Kuiper and McShay's most recent one, and more mocks that I've seen, The run on tackles, all 4 of them,
Start
Skronsky,
around that time.
Broderick Jones, Paris Johnson, Darnell Wright, all 4 of them go before 17. Where you
Exactly.
guys
And
would
that's what
sit,
I'm
which is
saying.
tough.
It's like that's what I'm saying. It's like no, like fuck that. That's why I don't think it's right. But you know, depending on what they got, obviously it's a different story. But just for a couple of picks, if you gave me another like DJ Moore, like another player that caliber for it,
Yeah.
yeah. But you're not gonna get that at this point. You know what I mean?
No.
So
No, you could get like a Zay Flowers or something. If you loved a receiver, you could go get a guy like that, but that
yeah,
would be the sexy kind of pick that the Bears would maybe normally make, and that, would
yeah,
piss you off in this situation where they have such a good opportunity to protect the guy that they just got.
yeah,
And they just got DJ Moore. I mean,
yeah, exactly. And it's like, dude, like,
you
to
got
me,
the guy a weapon. Now protect him.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. You traded away one, so that means to me, I would assume. I know there's still like things saying, oh, maybe it's not Justin Fields isn't their guy, but they don't like anyone. Like you traded away one, that means you're committing to Justin Fields, like you said. Now protect the guy. Like it's simple
Yep.
as that. So I think it'd be stupid for them to move out with the fact that we have so much draft capital already in this draft. You know what I mean?
Do you think at the end we'll go over some players that I love? Maybe that will go outside of the first round, and we could talk a little bit more about that. But do you think? Let's just talk a little bit overall draft, because I think this is shaping up to be one of like the crazier drafts that we've seen in a little bit. I mean, as far as like trades and who goes where. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? As far as like just within the top 10,
I mean,
I feel like there's, and I don't know if you saw the rumors swirling today about Derrick Henry to the Eagles. Like,
yeah.
who
Well,
knows if something like that happens on draft day? Like, there is so much shit going on in the air right now. Feels like there's just more smoke than normal and more uncertainty.
I just feel like I don't know if it's the uncertainty. I don't know if it's smoke or not, but like I do think if the right deal is up for so many teams, like you said earlier, you said the Raiders, and who was the other team that you said is looking for a quarterback?
Tennessee.
Oh, Tennessee. So you got
Yeah,
two teams like
both.
that.
And Arizona's willing to move. They've already said
Yeah.
that. Like, they're
Yeah.
taking all kinds of phone calls.
Yeah. So like you got those two teams who I think at least one of those two are going to zhush their way into the top 10 somehow. Yeah, I agree with you though. Like, there's weird. It's starting to become a reality TV, honestly, almost.
It is.
Because
With Jalen Carter, the questions around him, and then now Will
quarterbacks,
Levis is throwing a
yeah.
wrench in everything.
dude,
like,
and then 2 weeks ago, fucking Anthony Richardson was all of a sudden God, and you're like, what the fuck? How
Yep.
this guy played 13 games and completed like 20% of his passes, and now all of a sudden you're like, oh, he's a freak athlete. Well, we always knew that. Like,
right, yeah, he could run. We saw that.
yeah.
He's been like, everything I've been seeing is he's basically a lock to the Colts, which is kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I do think it's a circus out there, and I do think there's going to be a weird amount of movement. I'm hoping that the Bears don't play into it personally, but I do think you're right. I think it's just it's a lot going on. I mean,
I
don't know.
think I think teams like us are going to benefit a lot from this, though. Just because I really do think that there is going to be some chaos, and there's going to be some guys that might even slip into the second round that never should have, just because of the runs. Like we said, that it just depends on who starts. What's going to be the first round? Is it going to be tackles? Is it going to be receivers? Is it going to be corners? Like, where is that going to start? And then after that, the fucking dominoes are just going to fall, and it could get nuts in the back half of the draft.
I feel like the receiver thing, because usually, especially after last year with the receivers, it was insane. I feel like this year's receiver class is really good, but it's not as top heavy. Like when you got like the big dicks, you have like your 3 or 4. I mean, between what's his name, TCU,
really
fucking Tennessee, and the other kid.
Quentin Johnson, Jackson
JSN.
Smith, and Jigba will be like the first guy off the board probably,
Yeah.
and then it'll just kind of go Zay Flowers. Name your pick from there. It'll basically be like, who do you like? Does Jordan Addison fit you? Does
That's what I'm saying. It's like I feel like we were kind of saying, like I feel like there's a very good opportunity to catch one of them in a weird spot because it's like who fits your bill, not necessarily who's the best. Because I mean, 5 to like 15 are almost the same fucking player, all talent wise throughout. And you're like,
Yep.
oh, you might get the guy who you had as your fucking fifth best, but it's because it just fit your bill so much, and it is this guy's 15th best. So it's like, I think that was one of the positions in this draft where it's usually, I feel like receivers, it's like there's like the 6 of them. They're the best. They're the dogs. They're going to go exactly where you think they're going to go. And then, it is what it is. You're fucking hoping and praying for, shot in the dark type of guy.
Yeah.
So I do think receiver would be fun. That's why I do want the Bears to still keep their eye on some receivers, even though we do need other shit. I just think that there's CeeDee Lamb type, not like that high of like, but how the Cowboys were, they're like, well, we have to take CeeDee Lamb. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like where
Literally
it's
just that's what I think's going to happen to teams like
Yeah.
us and the
Exact-
Bears,
yeah.
where something's just going to fall into your lap, and you
Yeah.
literally, like you said, you just have to raise your hands and say, "Shit, well, we have to take this guy here.
Exactly.
We have to."
I think the Lions, especially with, I think 18. I don't care what anyone says. I think 18 right now, because it's the Lions and because they already have 6, might be the most unpredictable pick in the entire draft. Honestly, dude.
I agree.
'Cause
Especially,
you just don't know.
especially if they somehow, by the grace of God, get Will Anderson at 6.
Yeah.
Literally everything else is off the board. They can
That's-
fucking take anybody.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you obviously, like, if you take a cornerback at 18, you're like, okay, that's good. That fits what we need. But like everything else, though, too, if something falls, I feel like there's so much opportunity for the Lions at 18. And it's like I said, I feel like it's one of the most unpredictable picks in this whole draft.
That's why I'm so scared of the reality of that stupid Bijan thing actually coming to fruition.
Yeah, I do think that would be silly. I mean,
It's not.
it's like, what the? I mean, look at Brees Hall, right? He was picked 34th or 35th or some shit last year, in that range, maybe even 33rd. I don't even know, but like, he had a really good, decent. He was split in time. Then like 4 games. Then he's the starter. He's the dog, and then boom, he's out for the season. And it's like, and then Michael Carter just comes in and he does what he needs to do and like plays well. And then they had another guy that filled in too. It's like, no, it's the most vulnerable position in terms of getting hurt.
Yeah.
You're getting beat the fuck up, and everybody can do it. With that O-line, bro, it doesn't matter. With that O-line,
That's
it
the
doesn't
thing.
matter.
That's the thing that people don't take into account enough is like, build the hog mollies up front first, and then you can get whoever the hell you want back there.
Yeah.
We had Jamal Williams. We had a great run game last year.
Yeah. I mean,
Jamal Williams just went to the Saints and got peanuts.
True.
And we weren't even willing to pay him that, so we must be looking to pay somebody less. So I guess we'll
no
see
shit.
which 3rd or 4th round guy it is.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some guys. These are just some guys outside of the 1st round. You mentioned one guy that I don't think is going to get past the 1st round, but I do think is a sexy little pick, and that's Emmanuel Forbes out of Mississippi State. He's the corner. Did you see what he weighed in at the combine?
No, what was it?
So he was he was listed as 180 in college, senior and junior year. And he got to the combine. He weighed a soaking wet 166.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, like just skin and bones, nothing on this guy. If you don't know about him, he's like freak ball hawk, broke the Mississippi State records for picks. He reminds me of a Trayvon Diggs in a way that he's just very risk reward. Because he plays so aggressively and goes for the ball so much every once in a while, he's going to be a guy that loses somebody. But he has great recovery speed too. So if that's a guy where like you kind of have an okay secondary and you might have a 1, you could take a risk on a guy like this who could end up being a good 1 in the league, or he could end up stinking, just kind of depending on the year he has. But Emmanuel Forbes is one I like. Osiris Torrance, guard. He's the big ass dude from Florida that never let up a QB pressure. Basically, never let up a sack from JUCO all the way through college at Florida. obviously you're not you're playing some chumps in JUCO, but once you get to the SEC, there ain't a week off. So the fact that this guy didn't let a sack up at Florida too, is pretty awesome. He was, I've seen drafts have him. I've seen mocks have him at the end of the first round, but I've also seen him sneaking into the second round. And, the Bears get a guy like that in the second round. Holy shit. And that's a guy you can bump out to tackle, you know?
The thing that sucks, though, is that we're just so late in the fucking second round that, I don't know, 53 is just not, it's not ideal. But, that'd be fucking.
Could be an opportunity for the Bears to package a couple of those second rounders if they love a guy like that's
for
just sitting out there, move up in the
Yeah.
second round and,
For sure.
snag yourself a guy that's going to protect Justin Fields if you couldn't get that guy in the first round. Say, somebody fell into your lap in the first round, like Jalen Carter, your hands are tied. Move up in the second round, go get Osiris Torrance.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that's exactly that. That's something I can see them doing in terms of trading, is packaging a couple of seconds and getting, but yeah, man, I don't know. There's a lot of guys, man.
This mock that I actually like this mock a lot. This most recent one. I know I've been talking about McShay and Kuipers, but it has kind of a pipe dream to the Lions.
Before we go on, hold on.
No, I'm still going through second round.
No. No, this is just a little bit off track. How does Mel Kiper still have a fucking job?
Oh, I don't know.
Guy's constantly wrong.
Yep.
And all he does is talk shit. And yet he still is the most highly touted fucking draft guy out there. You're like, how?
It's the Stephen A effect, dude. The guy's fucking entertaining. When Kuiper comes on the screen with his goofy ass hair and his fucking shades and the way that he talks, you literally get sucked in and you have to listen to him. I don't know why, but that's just how it is.
I guess you're right.
Todd McShay is the most vanilla, boring guy on the planet. How he still has a job is beyond me. He's not entertaining at all. When Kuiper comes on, he's a psycho. So at least I get that part. But McShay I definitely don't get. But Kuiper too has been. He's the only guy on the planet that can be wrong so many times and just keep his job.
He's he's the weatherman of sports, bro.
He is the weatherman of sports. That's a great way to put it. That's a great way to put it.
Anyways.
Two guys in the second round that I still like that this is what they kind of mocked up to us, which I think is fucking crazy if this happens. They have 48. McShay has Jahmyr Gibbs coming to us, which I don't think he's getting to 48. Not after all the buzz we've been hearing this week about this guy. People love this guy, and they think that he's going first round. And then, I don't think so either. Great back. I don't see him going first round, but definitely earlier than 48 in the second round. Holy shit, that would have to be everybody would have to be asleep at the wheel. And then 55, 7 picks later, they have us taking a guy who I love, Drew Sanders, inside linebacker out of Arkansas. This is a guy that was at Bama. For whatever reason, it didn't work. And then he transferred over to Arkansas and just became a beast. He's just one of those guys that likes to he's kind of like a Rodrigo. Stick his nose in there. I want to get hit in the face today. That's how I play football. And that's the guy. Those are the guys that Dan Campbell loves. So I just have a weird feeling that if Drew Sanders is sitting there at 48 or 55, and the Lions have an opportunity to take them in a position of need for sure. It probably goes. You could go linebacker or corner either way after D-line. Interior D-line would be one, but then after that, you could say linebacker or corner or just edge guy in general. But Drew Sanders can kind of do it all, come off the edge a little bit. He can play inside. He's great in coverage underneath. So your running back ton of shit where they come up the middle or your crossing routes, he's great in that sense. So just kind of one of those guys that plays every down that you want on your football team.
Dude, what has happened in the last, 10 years that interior linemen are just devalued so much? It's like the running back of the defense, kind of, but I don't they're the fucking blood, they're the heart of your D, they're your play caller, they're filling up the middle. It's why do we not put more emphasis on middle linebackers? Because I don't know.
You're right, because it
they're
used
so
to be
important.
it used to be so much bigger with like, I mean, there's a million names, but like Geno Atkins and guys like that, Haloti Nada, guys that are just kind of in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
that literally just plug lanes. And I think it just has to do with how sexy that everybody thinks the edge position is now and how important it is to win football games to get to the quarterback. And maybe that's because the league passes more, right? There's less
Yeah.
running, there's more passing. I mean, the
But I
league's
mean,
different now.
but also you got a guy like fucking Luke Kuechly who literally is calling out plays for the team. Like you can't like you. There's it's so valuable. Like I don't know.
So you're talking linebackers
I'm
and
talking
like interior D line
no.
too.
I'm talking inside middle linebackers more so than the D linemen. I'm talking middle
I
linebackers.
thought you were talking D line.
No. I'm talking like, bro, like it went from like Ray Lewis, fucking Urlacher, fucking Patrick
Yep.
Willis, fucking Luke Kuechly, Bobby Wagner in his prime, like all these fucking badasses, dude. Fucking what Jonathan Vilma, like those were like your best players on defense. And like
Yep.
now you got a guy like Roquan. Okay, granted he got paid or whatever, but like
Mhm.
it's like he's the best middle linebacker in the league and no one gives a fuck about him.
Right.
Borderline,
right.
top two, and it's like it's just so weird how like that one, your captain of your defense, it was so important 10 years ago, and now it's like you said, that edge rusher is so important, and like even the cornerbacks are getting fucking selected so much higher than linebackers. It's just
Yep.
so, I know it's because it is because we pass more and all that shit, but like it's just still like a guy that can read out a play and direct your team. To me, like I don't think there's anything that you can ask for more. Um, but I don't know. It's just so
It's a defense.
confusing.
It's the green dot guy, right? It's the
Yeah.
defensive leader. I mean, the Lions were. I mean, I think that we were looking for one in a Bobby Wagner or a Levante David, those kind
Yeah.
of guys that were available in free agency this year, and they just kind of ended up going back with Alex Anzalone, which, I mean, like I said before, I trust Brad Holmes. Is Alex Anzalone my favorite guy? No. Is he the worst middle linebacker in the league? No, but he's probably not top 20. So I
Mhm.
mean, does that suck? We run the two linebacker. I mean, we run the 5-2 linebacker set anyway. So it's like, you'd like one of them to kind of be elite. And Malcolm Rodriguez is so new. It's only his sophomore year. And then we got stupid Anzalone, who basically was a special teams player before he got
Yeah.
here. But, yeah, like you said, to get a guy like that, it seemed like from an outsider's perspective, it would be very important. But from
Yeah.
whatever reason, Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell didn't think that way, and they stuck with Anzalone. So maybe it's just
I think it's the league, though.
the dying breed.
Yeah, which it's just so weird. Like it just confuses me how like there's not more draft capital that's set in on like, hey man, let's go get this fucking brilliant, this inside linebacker that could really just run.
Yeah.
shit. It's just surprising to me, and I don't know where it fell off. I know the passing, but it just still confuses me because like you still have your middle linebacker on the fucking or on the play almost every. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter if they're passing or not.
They almost talk about it more at other positions now. I heard him talking that way about Brian Branch today, that safety / corner. He's been at Bama forever.
Yeah.
But they were talking about him. They were like, this guy literally, like, whatever he lacks in physical ability, the second he gets on the whiteboard, he's smarter than everybody in the room.
Yeah.
And they used to talk about Luke Kuechly that way.
Yeah.
Literally a guy that knew plays were coming. And if he's in the middle of your defense like that and can tell everybody, that's so important.
Yeah. I don't know. I am, I mean, maybe I'm just getting old. I just feel like I grew up in an era of elite middle linebackers, and so did you. And it's like, and now it's like, no one cares about them. It's just surprising. That's all. But
the league just had some badass motherfuckers in like the early to mid 2000s.
That's what I'm
in
saying.
general.
Yeah,
like
dude,
just crazy people.
Yeah, so I don't know. I guess it's just me fucking being an old bitch, but
yeah,
you know who
we're yelling at the clouds.
You know who I do like too. Is what have you heard about this other Texas running back? This Roshan, whatever the fuck his name is. You been hearing
I
anything
don't
about
know
this
anything
kid?
about him.
So they're
No.
saying that this is somebody that the Bears legit might go after, like in that like 4th round area, and he's like the backup to Bijan. And I'm like, what? But I guess
Yeah.
I don't know, I read a little bit. I was like, huh, I don't hate that, you know.
Yeah.
But
Is he? And was he like a senior or something? Is that why he's coming out? Do you know
I
that?
honestly don't even fucking know, man. But I don't
Might
know.
have to
It's
watch
just,
some film on this young
yeah,
man.
no shit. I
See
don't
how he's
know.
looking.
There's just so many. Like I think I like that Isaiah Foskey kid from Notre Dame, the edge rusher. That's a guy who I think the Bears, you know, this sucks too. Like I said, like these are all like 50 to 60 level talents. Like there's not many of those like top 40 that after round 1 that I think we even have a chance at, which sucks. I would love a Jameer Gibbs. Let me tell you what, just a
Yeah.
fast motherfucker, dude. Just a dog.
Who's RB1 in Chicago right now?
Right now, it's Deontay Foreman.
Yeah, that's tough. You
No,
can't
and
have that.
he's a good first and second down back. I mean, he's proven it
Mm-hmm.
last year with Tennessee, but like, yeah, that's not the fucking guy, you know.
No.
But we still have that kid from the kid that backed up Montgomery last year. I can't think of his name right this second. Played for Virginia Tech. But I don't know, man. The Bears just need so much that I honestly like right now. We've been talking about it for so long that like my head is in a blender and I don't even know like what I want. And like
I get that.
like what
Dude, trust
there
me.
is, dude. There's just so fucking much. It's I don't know. I can't wait.
This year's gonna be awesome. We'll wrap this shit up. Hopefully you picked up something. I know that we literally just went through basically a tornado and a hurricane as far as draft topics go, but I think that is going to be the theme of the draft itself this year. So fucking buckle up. This is the best time of year for teams that are in positions like we are, where literally anything could happen. And I think both the Bears and the Lions are kind of on the up and up. Other news, I mean, quickly out of the NFC North, Aaron Rodgers finally gone.
True.
Amen to that. Fuck that guy.
True. Fuck that guy.
Never have to see him again unless it's in the Super Bowl. Cross your fingers there. But yeah, and who knows what I hope the Pack go and draft a receiver just to give a quick middle finger to Rodgers.
That would be
just
hilarious.
draft a receiver for Jordan Love.
You know another thing too though, and I was looking at is for like guys. So the Bears and the well, you guys got some good cornerbacks, right? But like there's still some pretty solid DBs out in free agency right now that are like, I mean, Marcus Peters, Rockison, I mean, Shaq Griffin. Like there's some guys out there. I don't know what they're asking for in terms of like money, but like there's still a decent amount of free agents that haven't been signed anywhere. They'll probably all end up back with their fucking teams, but like there's a lot of names out there.
It's a thing too where I think they just kind of they have a wave of guys where it's like, all right, this is a priority guy, we want to go get them, and then they have this wave of guys where it's like, all right, we didn't establish or get the guy that we needed in the draft here.
Yeah,
so we got to fill this position elsewhere. Let's go get Shaq Griffin. Let's go get somebody like that. So
no, yeah, definitely. There's definitely that. Yeah, like that post draft free agency signing that everyone goes after.
Yep.
But there's still
right
some
before
names
summer.
out there, though. Yeah, there's still some names out there. But
well, enjoy draft day, everybody. Hopefully, everybody's got some fun shit planned for Thursday to watch. And after this, what is this week? Oh shit! I think we might be doing back-to-back drafts. Hey, NFL draft, fair enough draft next week. So
yeah.
Back-to-back drafts for the boys, so stay tuned. Hopefully everybody has a great weekend, and thank you for listening. We love you guys, and we will see you next week. Peace.